Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast, and welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Sub/X/ since this board is nothing but people asking how to summon demons, schizo ramblings, and just degeneracy of all kinds. I want to start up a good old Innawoods thread because it's spooky season. I've posted my stories on /X/ multiple times, so enjoy and post some of your own story. 1. Be me. 17 at the time. Be in high school with part-time job. Job is feeding cows for grandpa. It's early winter. Get darker sooner. PNG. Get cow feed and everything work truck. Go to the first farm. Already dark. Forget keys. F my life.x. Grab 2 buckets at a time. Walk them 40 yards over the gate. Whistle to stay upbeat and because autist. After getting done, head back to the truck. Barely hear noise over leaves crunching. Sounds like someone learning how to whistle. Weird, but animals or something. Next couple days, keep hearing the whistling. Coming from my pa's property across the road. Notice over these days it's progressing. The whistles are getting clearer. The whistle goes from blowing to quiet whistling, to loud 2 fingers in mouth getting attention whistling. Still think it's birds or something. Think about it at home. Realize the whistles were mimicking my whistles. Okay, well maybe it's a bird still. 2 days later. Come to the second farm gate. Have keys this time. Dark as F.jpg. Drop keys trying to open the gate lock, say damn it when I drop the keys. Feed cows. Come back and hear gurgles and animal moaning. Coming from the other farm across the road. WTF. Decide to investigate because it might be a dying cow. Hop fence and start walking. Property goes uphill. Woods get more thick as you go. Keep walking and hearing animal dying noises. Kinda paranoid because of the dying sounds. Sounds change kinda. Go from moaning and gurgles to moaning and mumbling. Kinda getting more scared now. Keep going but slower. The noises keep changing and start sounding like a person. Now I think there is a homeless man. Less scared but still pretty scared. Approximately 30 yards from noises. Sit down to listen and think of what to do. Damn night. Damn night. Damn it. The homeless guy is saying damn it. Sounds like 60-year-old smoker times 10. Keeps repeating damn it over and over. Notice the tone and inflection is getting lighter. Oh shit.mp4. That's my voice. Really scared and angry. Stand up and start creeping uphill. Crest hill with phone light on. Yell at the noise while climbing the hill. Gets over the hill and stop. On the edge of my light is a humanoid figure. Squatting in front of me. Eyes glowing really bright from the phone light. Still telling myself it's a person. It comes closer. WTF am I looking at .png? The best way I can describe how I felt was an uncanny valley feeling. Its head was much larger than a normal person's head. Eyes were very large and the eyes glowed yellow-green. Its neck was too long, that's the best way I can describe it. Really skinny, Eugenia Cooney skinny, very tall. I'm sitting there, no noise, staring at this person. It slowly starts standing up while looking down at me. At least 2 feet taller than me. I'm 5'13". While staring at me, it says damn it in my voice one more time. I just turn and run. I can't hear anything behind me. My legs have lost all feeling. Hop the fence, get in the truck and leave. I went back, and the days after that happened, I heard the whistling again.
I've heard tons of Innawoods spoopy stories, but never experienced something like this. This is the deepest I've gone. 20 years old. Family has a farm. My stepfather got this new hand video camera. I've been in those woods lots of times, know everything. Started roaming woods with a video camera, doing silly videos, getting dark, heading home. Sometimes recording, sometimes the camera is off. I walk along a path full of dead leaves in the ground. My steps make that noise of leaves being cracked. Suddenly I feel like I'm being watched or followed. Chills all over the spine. It's getting really dark. At some point the feeling of being chased or watched increases so much I'm frightened to look behind me. I stopped walking. Leaves are still being stepped on. Second pair of steps stopped right after I stopped. It was following my exact steps because of the noise but got caught. I realized shit's not right. Run like hell. Didn't record anything of this, but put some silly videos on YouTube with nothing more interesting.
Story 2. This happened a year ago. Be me. 2 weeks ago, as of writing this. Decided to bring my girlfriend, my friend, and her exchange student boyfriend from Finland, and my other friend who's a Hong Konger. Strange, I know. For context, because this may play into it, I don't know though. I shot a deer that morning, skinned and butchered it, and I brought it to my family farm. Different farm from the first story. To drop it off for coyotes to finish off or drag off. My friend, who we will call RF, Russian friend, she's a Stacy, but I love her to death. My GF will be called GF, of course. My other 2 friends will be HK, Hong Konger, and FB, Finn Boy. We drive out to my farm and it's around 6:20 p.m., quite dark already. We get there and are driving towards my already established camp area. RF mentions something along the lines of, "Haha, wouldn't it be funny if we saw a skinwalker anon?" Immediately tell her to shut up, don't say that shit out loud. RF apologizes and agrees that it's a bad idea. She's sorta /X//K/mix. FB, wait, what is Skinwalker Anon? Me, shut up FB, I already told RF to shut up about it. He proceeds to keep bantering and pestering me about it, and I'm basically forced to tell him about the legends and stories. Finally, he shuts up about it, and looking back, there was already a sense of paranoia from just talking about it. We drop off deer carcass and guts deep Innawoods about a football field away from our camping spot. We get to spot, set up camp, chairs, food, fire, we are chilling. Me and my GF notice we need more firewood. We get in my truck and drive to a brush pile we have on the property. Collect wood. I'm chopping wood and my GF stops me. GF, wait anon. Me, what's wrong, babe? GF, shh, listen. We hear movement in the trees, not light movement either. It stops and we kinda just continue getting wood. I'm thinking at the moment that it's probably a horny buck chasing a doe. Come back with wood. Fire lasts probably another hour or 2. This all happened from 6:30 p.m. to 11 p.m. Me and my GF leave for firewood again. We get there, and we're joking about what if something is out there. We laugh and gather wood. While I'm chopping a log to break it up, I smell something. This sounds so stereotypical, but I swear to whatever God is convenient that it was like this. I stand up and take a deep breath to catch my breath. A foul smell vaguely wafts into my nose. Roadkill, wet dog, or rotting garbage. Damn it, this is some /K/shit, I think to myself. Brush it off but keep it in the back of my head. Come back and we're eating, drinking apple juice. Martinelli's gold medal choice grade sparkling apple juice, to be specific. Love that shit. Anyway, we chilling and FB brings up the skinwalker shit again. HK pipes up and they start talking amongst themselves about as well as RF. Me and my GF look at each other and just say, screw it. They are gonna do whatever. The tension in the air is getting more and more palpable. The air just feels heavy. RF. Wait, where are the wood sounds? Me. What do you mean? At that moment I noticed it too. God damn it, more /X/shit, I'm thinking. RF is getting more and more afraid she wants to leave. I tell her to chill, it's all good. I was also afraid because this isn't normal. But I didn't want to scare everyone. I was the guide, the one who knew the area and the most responsible out of everyone except my GF. HK and FB are getting scared as well, looking around and behind them. We have cows on my farm, and we would hear our new bull Kaiser. RF would always ask what it was and I would rationalize it. It kept happening that I was put at ease. I'm sitting back enjoying the fire when we hear a howl or yip. RF, what is that anon? Me, coyote, they won't come near, they are afraid of humans. It sounded like a coyote impersonating a rooster's crow. That was strange, I was thinking coyotes don't really make sounds like that in my area. They normally just yip and howl. And it was only one coyote. It keeps going and I get super annoyed. Oi, fug off, eh? I yell at the top of my lungs at where the sounds were coming from. When it stopped, my heart kinda dropped. I can't tell you why, but I felt the rush of fear and adrenaline pump into my veins. Me. There, it stopped. The sound went off again, and it was much, much closer. It went from a kinda ambient sound to being 50 yards from us. I'm kinda shitting bricks. I can hear it much better. It doesn't sound like a normal coyote, more of a human interpretation of one. Super cliche, I know, but I'm being dead serious. RF, FB, HK, GF, and I all look at the direction it came from. RF. Fuck this, she said. She got up and FB calmed her down. I stood up and watched the area where it was coming from, slowly fanning the area with my eyes, looking for movement in square formations, looking at a section of darkness and looking in a square formation. I keep looking and I see movement, and it's big. I could tell all my friends in GF looking to me for guidance. Without looking at them, I tell them to start packing. FB. Anon, wait, what's going on? Me. I said now. I told HK and RF to start gathering the trash and food, and I asked my GF to get my axe and tools and put them in my truck. Me. FB, come with me, we're gonna put out the fire. I grabbed my bucket and started speed walking to a pond not far away. I get there and the sounds kick up again. It's moving, and now it's 30 yards from us. FB, what the hell is that? FB is looking into the woods. I grab the bucket and him and run. I put out the fire and tell everyone to get inside. As everyone is getting in, the sound is getting really frantic. It started sounding like screaming, human screaming. We drove off and leave the farm. Everyone is quiet and I'm slowly going down the dirt road. I rolled down my window and stuck my head out to listen. Utter and disturbing silence. I hit the gas and take off. Later I talked to my GF about what happened. She told me that she could tell something bad was happening before the sounds. She said my posture would go from relaxed to stiff and alert. And I talked to FB and I asked him what he saw. He told me after some persuading that he saw a figure in the darkness moving around. And for context, before that night, he had never heard of a skinwalker.
Only one spoopy story I can recall in Innawoods. 12 or 13 years old in Boy Scouts. In a pickup, driving through the woods to camp. Middle of a Friday night when we arrive. One driver, one friend in the front seat. Me and two friends in the back. Driver pulls over to register at the cabin or something, and friends in the back are playing Nintendo DS. Me and the front seat friend are just talking. Headlights pointing forward down a dirt road. There's a dumpster next to the road, barely within view. Friend is mid-sentence when a short, hairless, emaciated creature leaps from the dumpster. It lands on two legs, looks toward the truck, and bolts across the dirt road and into the forest. Friend and I stop talking immediately. He turns toward me with wide eyes. "Tell me you saw that." "Dude, I was gonna ask you." Two other friends are clueless and ask what we saw. We tell them, but they don't buy it. After we set up camp, everyone is getting ready for bed. Me and the front seat are the last boys up. They tell us to turn the propane lanterns out when we go to sleep. Lots of weird noises, very stressed. We get to talking about that thing we saw. The lanterns go out of their own accord. Immediately look outside. No one there. Our friends tell us to shut up and go to sleep. We spend the rest of the night paranoid about the creature.
But I'm not done yet, there is more. Here's my third story because this thread is nearly dead, and I think it's a quality thread and I want to keep it alive. Be me. Probably 12 at the time. Be walking in a woods with two friends. We were chilling, talking and walking. Suddenly hear rustling in the bush. Lots of rustling. Holy shit, it's getting louder. We book it down the hill and look back up. All we see is a huge, broad-shouldered, pitch-black entity with glowing red eyes. Not circles, but the apple slice-shaped evil eyes. It has a mist-like attribute to it. Kinda like the heat waves of a mirage. It starts levitating towards us and we take off towards my house, running as fast as we can. I'm pissing my brown pants. We look back and it's got its arms outstretched as if it wanted to grab us. We keep running until we got to my house. Don't tell parents because they will think I'm a schizo. Decide to go to sleep. Wake up, I DK how long later. I can't move. I can't make a sound. All I can do is look around. I look into the corner of my room and see it. It materializes into existence and just sits in the corner, staring at me. It slowly comes to the foot of my bed and leans over me. That's when a pair of long, hairy arms with black razor-sharp nails come from what is above me that I can see, and they grab me and cover my eyes. I woke up the next morning and have never seen anything like this again. The sound is also deceiving. Yes, one can use it to locate in most cases, but that's not always the case. One could hear the sound 30 yards away, straight in front of you, but it could be behind you, 10 yards away in the dark, or said 2. They're a tricky bunch, but that's of course rarely done, so maybe that's really nothing to worry about. Also, don't believe that there's only one there. I've seen 2 rather close to each other, or rather close enough for me to realize that they could be working with each other. Rarely so. Your body will reach accordingly for survival, and they know if there's only one, they will try and bait, in most cases. If there's 2, well, it's a game of sort.
Be me 8. Walk through a graveyard in my hometown that is built more like a big foresty park with my friend. It's winter, so it's dark early. It's around 7 or 8 p.m. We're using flashlights. Talk about kid stuff. Autistically shine the flashlight everywhere. Shine it in between some bushes. Oh shit, .jpg. See what looks like a severely skinny 80-year-old man with claws, nails that are as long as his legs. His eyes were very reflective. My friend didn't notice it. Keep walking. Wanted to point it out to my friend, but for some reason don't. I turned my flashlight away like nothing happened. Too shocked to say anything for a few minutes, but not scared. We get out of there. My kid brain didn't register it, but that was horrifying.
And here is my final story that I have. Hopefully you all have enjoyed them. Be me, probably 15, 19 at the moment. Mid-November because of hunting. I like getting up before sunup to get a drop on deer, walking through an old trail in the woods, crunching, and my cold, icy breaths is all I can hear. Besides that, it's just nighttime Innawoods sounds. At the time, couldn't own a gun, so I'd been given CZ-223. Keep walking till I get to stand. Climb stand. Get to the top and hang my pack from hooks in the tree. Take out antlers and grunt call. Sit for maybe an hour, maybe 40 minutes before sunrise. Decide to rattle and grunt, rattle, rattle, grunt. After getting done, sit back. After like 20 minutes, I hear a grunt. Oh shit, big buck. Pog. Hear a big buck heading my way. Crunch, 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 stop. Deer fever is taking over and I'm shaking with excitement. Beta cuck never shot a buck before. I can hear the buck moving around 10 yards away from the stand. Bated breath as I listened. The moon is quite bright tonight, so you can see in darkness. Can't see the forest floor, but ray of moonlight passes by my tree low to the ground. Buck getting closer. Get CZ ready. Aim downwards to the right of my stand. Buck is heading literally a foot away from my tree. Can see its antlers in the small ray of moonlight. This is cringe SF, but at the time I liked it. My agriculture class had a contest that if you got the biggest buck out of the whole class, you'd get like $200 or something. Money.exe. Rack is big and the deer is bigger. Wait till I can see its body to take a shot. I can't see anything. Moonlight rays split between 2 trees on the deer's path with pitch black where there is no rays. Can't see deer after the rack leaves the moonlight. Can hear it though. It's going past me. I'm focusing on the sound and not on where it is visually. Focus my eyes on where the deer is. See movement and snap my eyes towards it. An elongated human foot and calf passes through the light. Wait.pdf. Brain kind of just fogs up. I kind of sit there like a rock, wondering what I just saw. Literally, the leg looked like it was someone walking or crawling on all fours. Brain suddenly realizes what happened, and my stomach drops and the adrenaline starts pumping. Slowly sit back, trying to be as quiet as possible. My back sits against the bark of the tree, clutching rifle while semi-hyperventilating. Scared out my ass. The fear is straight primal, as if I'm being hunted instead of the other way around. Want to look behind me? Don't do it, you fucking idiot. Does it regardless of the brain's input. Slowly look behind the tree I'm sitting against. Look up the hill, scanning the perimeter of the area I can see. Nothing. Nothing. Red eyes, nothing. Wait, what? Snap back to the eyes. The most piercingly menacing eyes I've ever seen. Eyes have red eye whites, and its pupils are glowing yellow-orangish. Shits bricks harder than already doing so. Immediately sit back against the tree again, gripping the rifle so tightly that my nails are scratching into the barrel. Kinda pass out. Wake up and it's daytime. The rifle is still in my lap. Look around. Nothing. GIF. Basically, firemen slide down the ladder to the stand, bolt back to my dad's truck he let me drive, hop in and drive home at the speed of light. I might be leaving out details because this happened way back and my brain kind of blocked it out for a bit. If anyone shows interest in this new thread, I'll continue with my other stories.
Personal experience. Late 2020. Be me in a woods walking with 5 friends at night pretty far into the mountains. We were planning on exploring some unknown structure we heard about and vibing there. We stopped with 2 cars, mine and one other not too far away, and started walking. Eventually, we find the huge empty complex that had like 6 different buildings, all with 6 to 10 floors, and were pretty long. Think it's an old health resort or something that were being remade, but the project got yeeted for unknown reasons. We explore it for a bit. Few crashed cars dating back from quarantine stuff with masks in it, so it's pretty fresh, but no roads nearby, or at least none that we knew of. 3 of us armed with melee, 1 armed with a handgun, so we get ready. Phone and radio starts having their batteries drained quickly and glitches out a lot. 2 of us decide it's best to leave, so they go back to cars. Only 3 of us exploring, including me. Hear them screaming on the radio at some point. Panic. Tells us where they're going. Apparently they saw some white thing moving hella fast in the woods that hit their car. Apparently it didn't look like any animal we knew about, and it was reflecting light. They drove away. We sprint back to the cars. I try looking at my phone and it's at like 2% battery. What the hell, I charged it completely in the car before heading there, and it's supposed to last at least 24 hours if not used. Try talking to them, but the radios are also dying. Approaches my car looking for the creature, but nothing. We leave and try to follow their route. See a white thing on the side of the road floating near a tree. A friend in the car also sees it, so I do a 180 on the road and it disappears. Redo a 180, and look again, but it's completely gone. What the fuck? Follow the road and meet them at a town nearby. Inspects their car. Nothing. No mark. No impact. A few days later we went back. Got the feeling of being watched by a lot of eyes, and decided to leave and never come back.
Alright, I'm /X/OP here. Here's my buddy's story from when he encountered the Ozark Dogman. His words, not mine. Befriend. B/X/and/K/. Be going on Innawoods trip. Be on his grandfather's land. Over 500 acres of land. Heavily wooded. Grab SKS. Grab AK. Headed Innawoods. Arrive and trek up to their location for camping. Arrive and set up camp. Mucking about, stalker LARPing. While cooking, he said they noticed a slight stink. Shook it off, but it kept progressing. Smell eventually gets unbearable. Friend has an idea. Puts on a M40 gas mask. Doesn't help and eventually almost vomits in the mask. Said the smell was moving in a circle. Eventually it dissipated and they tried to sleep. Gripping their Vatnik GEFs. Hear noises and the smell arrives again. Alongside heavy movement. They get up and have guns at low ready. They see a large, dark figure moving quite fast around them in the woods. It gets close and they realize it's a large black wolf. Gets really close and my friend shoots at it. The dog moves fast away and it gets lit up with the muzzle flash. Much larger than expected and they are freaked out. The dog ran around them in a circle. All the while they were trying to put a round on target. Eventually the dog stopped and they ran out of ammo. They said by this point they lost the dog. Get reloaded and look around. Friend turned on his headlamp and started searching. After searching, they saw the figure, and it stood up on 2 legs from all 4s. It lurched towards them and revealed itself into the light. The creature was the stereotypical dogman werewolf proportionally, but the head was what he really described in detail. He said the head was that of a dog and looked like pick-related, hairless and in some places fleshless, like it was infected with some skin disease. It was panting and staring at them, and it started lurching and wobbling towards them. He said that it shook side to side while it walked, very unnervingly, more than a creepy zombie dog. They ran, and were shooting behind themselves as they ran. Friend's friend turned and dumped into the general area of the creature. Solid few thumps. The creature stopped and lowered itself and howled. Said it sounded identical to the one in American Werewolf in London. They ran back to Grandpa's place, ran inside and startled his grandfather. He asked my friend WTF was up. He told him that they were shooting at raccoons and opossums. Grandfather looked at him like he knew. Grandfather owns over 100 guns for various reasons, but the creature he thinks is the main one. That was my friend's story.
Be me, Norwegian 19-year-old student. Live at a place called Kringsja, northern part of Oslo, right next to a large forested area called Nordmarka. Usually take evening walks around a lake called Sonsvan. I'm just naming these places so you can Google them if you want. Anyway, as autumn continues, the evening walks get darker and colder. I'm lazy, so sometimes I only get these walks done around 9 p.m. Fewer and fewer people on the trail. One night I get there much later, around 11 p.m. I sense no danger and continue walking my normal round. I wear headphones. Norway is pretty safe. No problems. I suddenly get a strange feeling, like I'm being watched. I also notice it's way darker than usual. No stars, light fogginess around the lake. Partially frozen now. I feel this deep anxiety suddenly, like I'm being watched and someone doesn't want me to go on. It causes me to halt completely and stop listening to my music. Every instinct tells me to go back. I decided to do it and head back. As I leave the forested area, I suddenly hear this heart-piercing shriek. It sounds like a little girl in absolute panic and horror, but it didn't awaken any protective feelings from me. I noped out of there and got back to my apartment. I read the next day that gypsy gangs were fighting in the woods that very night, including stabbings. They had lived there illegally, and the city wanted them gone, but they kept coming back. Apparently, rival families had fights with machetes and whatnot. No mention of girls being killed. I'm not sure if those are connected, but I have a feeling that they are. That's it. The scariest Innawoods thing I experiences.
Visiting family in rural West Virginia. The house is run down, but in the lived-in way, not the crack house way. Uncle decides we should camp a short distance from the house. Still Innawoods because this thing is surrounded by a sea of trees. We set up a small campsite, get a fire going. Feels cozy, man. .jpg. It's night. Uncle, aunt, uncle's wife, and my dad decide to sleep outdoors near the campsite. I decided to stick around too. It's about 1 a.m., can't remember 100%, but it was pretty dark out, and the only light was from the moon and my phone's flashlight. Really need to piss. Get out of my tent, wander a bit from camp to find a nice bush, unzip my pants and get to watering the flowers. Notice some movement out of the corner of my eye. Shoot my head around, panicked that a bear or something had just caught me. Almost shit myself as I notice a figure duck behind a tree. This was all low light, but from the glance I got, it looked like the figure was wearing some kind of robe or gown. Turn on my phone's flashlight and grab my pocket knife, trying to be macho, plus my family were pretty close. Walk around the tree, waving around my phone. Nothing. Honestly, even more creeped out. I should note that crickets out here are deafening, especially in the middle of the night. It was completely silent. All I could hear was leaves and sticks crunching with every step I made back to the campsite. As I'm walking back, I notice something when I step on a pretty thick branch and it snaps. I hear the exact sound about 20-ish feet behind me. Then again, same distance to my right, ditto to my left. Flight or fight kicks in and I bolt like a deer that just heard a gunshot. Dad is already out of his tent, campfire's up, and he's very clearly tense about something or other. He tells me to just go back to the house. Everyone else gets out of their tents too. Uncle stays behind, not getting any sleep tonight. Skip ahead an hour or so, Dad comes back into the house with Uncle. Uncle is pale as a sheet. Dad seems really frustrated. I asked them what it was. According to my dad, they caught a few guys, middle-aged, walking through the woods. They bolted at the sight of my dad and uncle. No idea what they were doing there, but a few of them dropped some things. MFW, it was a knife, duct tape, and some kind of syringe. We weren't ever really able to report it to the local police or anything, and I didn't live with my extended family at the time. But weird shit involving these robbed freaks happened for the rest of the year, 2010. Mostly just my family seeing them walking around the woods at night and early in the morning. They left after my uncle bought a rifle and started hunting on his property.
Don't know if it's paranormal, but I had a kind of spoopy one. Be living in the Ozarks. Ask a bro if he wants to go squirrel hunting. It's cold, like 10 degrees with heavy wind, overcast and deep snow. It's been miserable cold for a week, but I'm supposed to finally get a break in the cloud cover. Figure they'll start moving once the sun comes out. Spend the whole damn day hiking like 5 miles. Sun never comes out. It's cold, beard literally full of ice. Right before we turn around to head back, something walks out into the trail ahead of us, about 300 yards off. Takes a second to tell what it is. It's the biggest coyote I've ever seen, easily the size of a medium whitetail. It's limping pretty bad, kind of circles around and then heads into the brush. Bro and me look at each other and talk it out. We decide to put it out of its misery since it looks pretty badly hurt, and spring is a long way off. Not too stoked about chasing a big-ass coyote in the brush. But snow is thick, so it should be easy to follow. We take a few minutes to talk it over. By the time we make a decision, it comes back out of the brush. It's walking just fine and looks our way. We're happy we don't have to put it down, so we watch it for a minute until it disappears, and then head back. On the way back, we keep seeing big-ass coyote tracks on or near our trail. Once we reach a hill, I look back and see that big thing watching us from about a quarter mile off. I let the hunting bro know. He turns back and sees it right as it takes off into the brush again. Spend the rest of the hike back watching our rear while hunting bro watches on each side of the trail. Get to the vehicle, toss shit in the car, and flee real quick. We've been out there a lot since then. We only see it when the weather is bad, and only at a distance. I'm planning on getting all gillied up this winter and getting it. I want to make a cowl out of him.
I have a few spooky Innawoods stories from the family camps up north. Years ago, up at camp, little me, maybe 4 or 5. Only remember that I was so young because my little brother was in a crib at the time, and he's 3 years younger than me. Anyway, Grandma had a tract of land on the lake up there, from the lake shore all the way up into the woods and ultimately to the little trail that served as the main road and across the street in the double-wide camper in the back of the property. Grandma is up there with me, Mom, Dad, and little bro. Grandpa and other family members are in the fishing cabin down on the shore. Usual camping activities, fire, s'mores, etc. It's getting windy out. I don't remember much, but it seemed to be darker than usual, and I remember sitting on the porch with my mom and Grandma. Suddenly, Grandma notices the woods have gone quiet. We go inside. Grandma sleeps in the master bedroom down at the end of the hall. Me Mom and Dad all sleep in the same bed in the second bedroom. Baby brother is in his crib. Some point in the night, I wake up. Dad isn't in bed anymore. Mom is sitting up. It's thundering and raining loudly outside. Blinding flashes in the window. Go to look outside and see the storm. Don't look out the window, Mom says. What .jpg? Ask where Dad is. Mom says to just stay in bed. Find out years later that Dad was in the front room with Grandpa's hunting rifle. Remember hearing noises outside. That wasn't thunder or the rain. Sounded like all kinds of things, mostly inhuman screams, but it's hard to hear over the thunder. But I hear it, and Mom knows I hear it. Suddenly there's a loud noise, a big crash. Apparently that was Grandpa coming through the front door with his shotgun. Don't remember much else from that night. Just remember how quiet everyone was the next morning. Never really spoke of it again. Drinking with Dad once a few years ago. Ask him about it. Kinda near the end of this story. Didn't mean to leave it on a cliffhanger, but I have other stories about camp and friends' camps as well. Drinking with Dad. Ask him about it. He says there's always been stories about that camp, especially when people are up there by themselves. Strange noises and smells, eerie silence, feelings of being watched. Says that one time Grandpa thought he came face to face with something in the woods, but he never talked about it. Another time, some years later, when I was probably a freshman in high school, Me and all my cousins, all around my age or my brother's age, are exploring in the woods behind the property. Parents and family and adults are all down on the lake shore. The woods are deep. Find a small clearing, lots of boxes of china stacked up, goofing around, flinging them into trees and shit, smashing plates like screw-ups. Keep on going. Find an abandoned house in the woods. It's all overgrown. Looks like it's been sitting there for decades and decades. Cars in the backyard covered in tarps. My eldest cousin is looking in the back window. His little brother and me are looking under one of the tarps and cars. See another tarp under the car. It's clearly some sort of wrapped-up object. It stinks. Cousin shouts out, "What the hell? Look up!" He's staggering back from the house and pointing. Look at what he's pointing at, glowing eyes in the window. We all take off running. It's a good mile or so. Sprint the entire way back to the lake shore. None of us speak of it ever again. The few times I've asked my cousin if he remembers, he goes pale and quiet and says he remembers it clearly. Says there were people inside the house watching us.
Feel like contributing as well. Rural Pacific Northwest around 7 years ago. Decide to go hiking, take my dog, hop in my truck and drive way in the middle of nowhere in state land where a trail is by some mines. Get to trail around 10 a.m., sky is relatively blue. Rarity around here. And I'm the only vehicle at the trailhead. Not a hugely common trail for people to go to, but it's unique enough to bring a few folks. Trail consists of a winding path down a steep hillside cliff that has a few cars from the 1950s that someone obviously drove off the road at some point, but they were unable to recover. Has a series of old railroad tracks and a large dark tunnel beside a fairly swift-moving river as well. Anyway, I start down the hillside with my dog and we're quietly enjoying the walk. I've been here several times before, so it isn't a hike I'm unfamiliar with. Get to the bottom and you walk through a series of trees whose branches create a circular portal type of look which is very scenic. Walk about 10 minutes when the dog starts to slow and I start to notice how quiet things have become. I shrug it off and coax my dog forward, but she's hesitant. Continue for a little ways farther and she starts trying to sit and not go forward anymore. I start to notice the oppressive feeling of silence around me, and the light from the sky under the tree canopy has already started to turn an orangey glow that seems like dusk far too early. The orange light and the tunnel of branches have an eerie feeling and I start to get scared, real nervous. It's getting dark far too quickly, and I know I shouldn't be here. Instinctively, I know I need to get out now. I start to back up, and then I feel eyes on me, eyes I can't see but know I feel. Like the feeling you get when you're in traffic and know someone is looking at you, and you turn to see them staring. My hair on my arms and neck bristles, and my dog shies up against me and is backpedaling as well. I draw my handgun from the holster at my side and keep it about chest level in plain view. I say in a slightly loud voice of faux confidence, "Man, I sure feel more confident with my gun here with me." I'm slowly stepping backward. The silence is oppressive, but I know something is there. I think I see leaves move to my left. "Come on, Scout, let's go back. I think we went far enough today." I say the gun is still raised and walking backward. Slowly turn around but keep my head over my shoulder and gun up, letting my dog pull me back the way we had come from. Begin whistling poorly and see branches around the portal move after being brushed by something. Walk a bit faster, but not enough to show I'm fleeing or afraid. Gun up. Eventually get to the bottom of the hill and let go of the leash from my dog. She sprints up and I follow. Hear snapping of twigs around a bend and soft, quick footsteps echo in the portal. Get to the top of the hill and see a Subaru parked there with people starting to get out in hiking gear. They see me, pistol raised, red-faced and out of breath. "Something is down there. Maybe a mountain lion or something. You need to leave." I tell them, and they hurriedly agree and drive off. I get in my truck and peel out with my dog leaned against me the whole drive back, obviously terrified, and I'm white as a sheet. Next month, a woman was found savagely murdered on the same trail, and no one has found who or what killed her. I have never been back and refuse to go back as well. I'm convinced the place is haunted or inhabited by something malign.
Also, I want to share one. Not technically Innawoods, but I want to contribute anyway because I've enjoyed this thread. So this one's a true story, meaning I can't personally vouch for it, but my grandpa and uncles all swore on the Bible that it happened. Dad's side is from Mexico, the southern part, a kind of tropical, mountainous region. There's a small farming town down there where everyone knows everyone. Dad's family has been there for about 200 years, and during that time, a story got passed down. Apparently, there's some spot in the mountains, just outside the village, where people say there's a doorway that you can get lost inside of. Obviously not an actual doorway, just a poetic way of saying that people always went missing around this one particular area. There was a specific name for it that I can't remember, so I'll just call it the doorway. So anyway, Dad grew up taking the cows up into the mountains to graze, and he was always told to keep away from this particular area. It was an everyday thing, like, go take the cows to graze and stay away from the doorway. So one day, Dad ends up getting stung by a scorpion while he's out there in the mountains, so he raced home and left the cows behind. Ended up bedridden for 3 days while my grandma used old remedies on him. Anyway, my grandpa took my 2 uncles to help him retrieve the cows before it started getting dark. Apparently, when they got up there, it was nearing sundown, still bright, but starting to get dark, still bright enough to see a man leading their cows away, heading towards the doorway. He was dressed like a typical peasant, but there were several odd things about him. First off, he was really, really tall. Most peasants out there are short, and towered over the cows. Second, while they couldn't see his face clearly, it clearly stuck way out from under the brim of his hat, almost like a dog snout, but very pointy. Neither of my uncles recognize this guy, and he seems to be stealing their cows, so they charge at him. The guy doesn't seem to notice, and just keeps walking slowly towards the doorway. As Grandpa and uncles get closer, they realize he has black skin. Rare in that area. And then suddenly, the man just disappears. Happens in the blink of an eye, and it's near where the doorway was supposed to be, so Grandpa and uncles get freaked out. A few cows are still left behind, and they gather them quickly and hurry home. In the end, they lost 2 cows, and my dad made a full recovery, so they counted themselves lucky.
I don't really get it. Why did the mod delete the original thread? Well, let's do this again. I'll start with my OC then. Before starting, sorry for my English. I'm Italian. Well, I live in Turin. Not far from me, there's Superga, a big-ass hill with a big-ass church on it. The church is full of tombs of the Savoy kings, and people say it's full of ghosts or something. Although once I tried to go there with my ex-GF and she started feeling sick until we got out of there. I'm not going to talk about the tombs. In 1949 on that hill, the Torino AC, the local football squad plane crashed, killing almost everyone. The point is, my grandma lived near there and got there when she heard the crash and found the altimeter. She took it home to remember the whole thing. She was and she is a Torino AC supporter. But let's get to this year. A few months ago, I saw a thread talking about how taking certain objects to the place where you found them could, well, do something like summon ghosts or whatever, so I tried. Pick Related is the place. Note, I'm going there in a few days to take some photos. The place is full of strange things, and a lot of people seem to hear cries and moans when the sun goes down. 3 years ago. Ask my grandma about the things in my uncle's glass cabinet. He's a plane and flying things fanatic. She tells me everything in there is my uncle's besides the altimeter. Ask her about the altimeter. She tells me the whole plane crash story and how she got there before the journalists. Get interested because a friend of mine talked to me about the ghosts in Superga, so I call him and got there at about 18 o'clock, 6 p.m. We wait a few hours for other friends to come by with tents and everything, because we decide to camp there even if it's illegal. We're all there by 19:30, 7:30 p.m., so we start getting our camp ready. By the time the tent are ready, it's 21 and we were 8 in total. We decide to split up and 4 remain at the camp, and me, my bro, and 2 other guys start walking to the crash site. I get the altimeter and we go with only our flashlights and knives. There's no silence and I don't feel observed. Everything's normal until about 1 mile from the site I get a strange feeling. I hear someone moaning and I think it's my bro. He always makes strange noises when he's bored, so I look at him and I see that I'm not the only one hearing that. Everyone is a bit scared, but we think it's either one of the guys of the camp or just imagination, so we carry on. When we get to the site, the moaning stops. Nothing happens, so we get back to the camp and ask if they heard anything. Looks like everybody heard moaning, and I believe them. We get in our tents and sleep. Everything is cool, but at 6 a.m. everybody wakes up. Hear people coming our way. We think they're just visitors or guards, so we get out of our tents and hide in some bushes. We hide for half an hour and we still hear people talking, but nobody passes by. Stefano, one of the guys, starts sneaking in the direction of the voices. Then like 40 minutes later he comes back. He says that there's nobody and the voices were always on the same tone, no matter how far he was from us. We get a little creeped out, but we get back to our camp and start packing up things. We get close to the crash site and set up the camp again. After a few hours, we hear talking again, this time a little louder than before. Some of the guys got really worried and tried to record something, but when they listened to their recordings, they didn't hear anything besides the normal things you hear in a woods. We just talk about things and hike until sunset. Everybody in tents, there are 4 of them for 2 people. Hear people talking again. Impossible. The park should be closed already. Look out with torches. Nothing. Everyone shuts up and we try to hear what these voices are talking about. I hear someone talking with a strong Piedmontese accent about an incident and ambulances coming this way. We're pretty close to the crash site, so we think we made it. Suddenly, voices stop. We heard last night moaning again, this time like someone whose moaning is just a few meters from us. It's not just a lament, it's someone suffering and trying like to get up or something, moaning and crying. The strange thing is that I'm not afraid. I just have this big guilt feeling, like if I was watching whoever was moaning, dying and doing nothing. Moaning got louder and louder until it became a cry for help. I swear I heard something like, "Mom, please help me, I missed you," and "Oh God, forgive me for my sins." Guilt feeling just got stronger at the point I really need to throw up. At this point, we heard a strong sigh and the moaning stopped. We're pretty sure we're talking about the plane crash, so we just take some coffee from our thermos and wait. An hour passes by and we hear talking again. This time it's different. We hear someone shouting in dialect, not sure what they say. I only get, "There's another one there." Hear people running around and screaming, oh God, please hold on." It's about where the crying guy was, but the voice was different. Open the tent and look. See someone dressed in a white 50s medic dress looking at the ground. Oh no, .jpg. Close the tent. My bro is pale. Did you see it? There were at least 5 of them. What are you talking about? Dude, there was a guy on that tree. I don't think he was still alive and some medics trying to get him off the tree. I get chills. Hear G, another one of our group, screaming from the tent on my left. Hear him screaming, "He's hurt, someone help him, Jesus Christ." At this point, everyone knows that we must get out of there soon. Start taking our bags and everything important. Run away as fast as we can, leaving their tents and some trash. Yeah, I know, that was stupid, but we were scared. Get home and spend the rest of the night looking for interviews and documents about the soccer squad. Recognize the moaning guy. Sorry, there's no English translation, but I'm pretty sure this was the guy G said was on the tree. The voice is similar, so I guess we got his ghost crying for help. I guess we're going again someday to take some photos and record again. But until then, that's all I have. Just thinking about those cries. Jesus, guys, it was terrible. That's all for now. I hope my bad English wasn't a problem.
Not a skinwalker story, maybe not even paranormal, but still worth telling, I think. Be me 2 weeks ago. Avid mushroom picker as a kid. I hear that there's loads of mushrooms this year, especially fete henna, a type that I used to love as a kid, that I haven't seen in years, and that my girlfriend has never even tried. I decided to look up my old spots before she comes over for the next time so we can collect and cook some. Go there after work, but still find insane amounts, despite enough time having passed for other people to pick them. Neat as hell. Go home, make dinner, yada yada. I realized I lost my lighter. Gift, rather expensive. I'm livid. Can't find it in my car, can't find it at work. Must be in the goddamn woods, great. I'm an idiot, so I go looking for it at night because I couldn't sleep anyway. Actually find it rather easily even. What's weird though is the smell. As I said, no skinwalker story. It was no coppery or bloody smell, just a stench of wet hair and carnivore. Only similar smell I've known beforehand was when I came across an abandoned enclosure of some asshole who illegally bred huskies and held them under disgusting conditions before we set the police on him. There also was no weird silence, no copied voices or anything. Either way, seriously disgusting smell. I decide to take a piss and then walk straight to the car and go home, despite beforehand having planned to wander around for a while longer. I do so and suddenly hear massive noises coming towards me. Absolutely no chance to hide. I'm still pissed and I've got a very strong flashlight with me still on. In the light of the flashlight, I see a goddamn bear. Now, what's necessary here is some more relevant info. I live in rural Germany. The forest I was in was small. There were 2 villages in walking distance. 1 hour walk at absolute most. Streets to all sides. There has been, as far as I know, exactly a bear sighting in Germany, years ago, and still several hundreds of kilometers away. Yet there was a bear, right there. Mangy looking, ridiculously thin. Legit could have been a corpse. Roars at me. I would have pissed myself if I wasn't already peeing. Seriously, it's hard to explain how ridiculously frightening the situation was. Not in the spooky, unknown feeling of fear way, but in the sudden deadly danger feeling. I've been robbed at knife point, and I wasn't even remotely scared. But at this moment, I'm pretty sure I was close to a heart attack from sheer fright. "Anyway!" roars at me. I run, pulling my pants up. Pretty sure I can't outrun a bear, so I make my amends. Suddenly no bear anymore. Natural, silence, normal sounds, but no roaring, running of a bear or anything. Still keep running, get in my car, drive home. I've been back there by day, the next day, armed, which is an insane risk, because running around with a gun is illegal around here. But I was looking for hair, blood, anything. Couldn't find anything. Called the local hunter as you do, was told that there are no bears even remotely near, and in all honesty, by all logic he was right. I'm still screwed. It didn't feel paranormal. But the sudden vanishing and the fact that there cannot be a bear around here makes me feel weird about the entire affair. Plus, that thing looked absolutely ragged.
Grandma owns 60 acres of land out in the country. Invite friends over there for a crawdad boil and Innawoods fun. We decided to set up in a field on the edge of the woods. At about midnight, we heard something walking around in the woods. Think it's just some animal. We are used to this kind of stuff. Decide to bed down under the stars. One friend was in a little personal tent. I get woken up by a friend shaking me. Ask what's wrong. When I notice all my friends standing facing the woods. Friend tells me there are people in the woods watching us. Shine lights in. Whoever they are standing just far enough away that the lights illuminate their shape, but not features. About 6 of them, 8 of us. We stand there staring at each other for about 30 minutes. One of the strangers starts cackling. We all tense up getting ready for shit to go down. The strangers back further into the woods out of sight. We all pack and book it back to the main house. Thank God Grandma isn't in town. We stay in the main house keeping watch out of the windows. As soon as it's light, we leave. Scared the shit out of me. Here is another. I like to go out by myself a lot. It gives me time and quiet to think. Head out with my fly rod to a secluded river. Fish and drink some beer for a couple hours and land 2 decent-sized trout. Fry them up on a little camp stove and sit enjoying the day. Hear footsteps coming down the path to the river. Surprised and a little annoyed that someone else knows this route to my fishing spot. Middle-aged dude in a big straw sun hat comes stomping down the path. Raise my hand in greeting and say hello. Dude just stops and stares at me. I stare back, which eventually turns into me scowling back, trying to let this guy know I'm not in the mood for his shit. He stomps in the opposite direction into the woods. I go back to fishing and enjoying myself. Hairs on the back of my neck start standing up every so often, and I look around not seeing anything. Pack up after a couple more hours and start hiking back to my car. I get feeling again, turn around, and about 50 feet behind me, the guy is there just standing and staring. Turn around and jog off trying to get distance. 20 minutes later, I turn and see him standing and staring off the trail from about 50 feet again. Yell at him to fuck off. He starts moving forward. Turn and run down the trail to hear him running behind me. Make a turn and hide behind a fallen tree. Hear him pass. After a couple of minutes, I look out. He is standing about 10 yards to my left looking into the woods. To this day, I still don't know how he did this, since I made no sound loud enough for him to hear me. He immediately turns around and stares at me. Decide to rush him, run as fast as I can with the rod and pack on my back at him. He doesn't even move. Shoulder check him and continue running back to the car, make it and peel out. I still haven't gone back to that spot, and needless to say I carry a gun with me in a woods now. Sorry if these are spoopy, but they sure were intense for me. I'll tell a couple more to try and keep this thread alive. Sucks that threads like this sputter out, but those threads with kids talking about some new spell they learned stay up all the time. Anyway, here goes. Friend and I decided to go on a bow hunting trip to try and bag some Roosevelt elk. Not that great of a hunter, so hope aren't high, but still full as hell. Trudging out to a stand my friend's dad uses. Joking around, having a good time. Again, not really looking to bag an elk, mostly just wanted to get away from it all. As we neared the stand, we noticed a shit ton of shells littering the forest floor. Way more than there should be. Great, some rednecks have ruined this spot. Notice blood on the ground. Looks like it's a day or less old. Decide to find another spot. Friend knows that there should be another stand in the area. Walk for a bit. Something hits the tree next to us, spraying bark and wood. Split second, hear the crack. Dear Christ, we just got shot at. Hit the ground, I call out, saying that we are here and not to shoot, thinking that another hunter just mistook us and took a shot like an idiot. Friend gets up in a crouch, scanning for them. Another round impacts the ground a couple feet to his right, yells fuck, and eats dirt again. Obvious this dude is trying to kill us or is half blind. We take off our orange reflective vests. I still debate if this was a good idea or not. We belly crawl as much as we can and sprinting from cover to cover whenever the ferns and brush are sparse. Can hear someone else stalking. Is not trying to make that much of an effort to be quiet, twig snapping and such. Friend keeps saying, half panicked, why can't I see him? Another round hits a tree above me. Praise Odin, this guy sucks at shooting. Pull friend behind a mound, try to spot this bastard. Friend taps me on the shoulder and points into the trees to my left. Finally get a look at this guy. Guy has really good camo on, grade A stuff. Guy is way overweight though and is wearing glasses. I can see them glint when he moves. I'm going to scare this dude. Look into my quiver. Realize I have a couple whistling head arrows that I use on the range for fun in there. I must have forgot to take them out. Pull two out and hand one to a friend. I pop up, draw and shoot to his left. He ducks behind a tree. My friend draws and fires into the tree he is hiding behind. He waddles back the way he came, I draw, and I linger a bit in his back. But I'm not going to kill someone today, so I aim to his right and let it fly. Whistles past him, waddles away faster. My friend and I hightail it out. Go to the ranger station and report what happened. Not the first time they have heard of this guy. He actually hit a guy a couple months back. He must have been caught or killed because I never encountered him again in that area. So that was the time I was almost killed by a commando.
Just got done with work, ready to go on a camping trip with a few of my pals. Decided we are going to go to a spot I used to frequent as a child with my cousins. We arrive a little bit before sundown, set up camp, crack a few beers and get out the cast iron pan to cook some steaks. Dat steak dot piang. Starts getting dark, my friend says he has to take a shit. Good thing we have toilet paper. He wanders a bit deeper into the forest. The rest of us are just shooting the shit. We hear a yell. I'm used to the creepiness and would always walk around the woods by myself. Not sure what's about to go down, I tell everyone to be on guard and that I'll be right back, grab my 65-inch longbow and my 14-inch K-bar ready to battle. Hearing some weird shit, sounds like someone is in pain. Get closer to this dense brush area and notice some blood on the ground. Start to follow the trail. Start smelling some good weed. Wait a minute. I was the only person with weed and it was back at camp. Keep running looking for my friend and end up running into a plot of weed. Had to be 100 plants plus. See my friend being dragged around by a couple of assholes with shotguns. Figured they probably have some turkey loader shit. Start to think how I am going to get him out of there. They tied his arms up behind him and threw him in a tent. This is like some special ops shit. Survey the area. Notice that they have a tank of gas sitting next to some burlap sacks in front of the main tent that they had. Look for something I can work with. I find a birch tree. Take a good amount of pine pitch, sap, and use my lighter to melt it onto the bark. Wrap it around my arrows that I brought with me. Had an arrow with a judo point for squirrels or rabbits. Wrapped the sticky bark around the arrow shaft and used the rest of the pitch and wedged it in the point. This is the only chance I have. Focus and shoot the light arrow into one of the burlap sacks. Arrow struck true. Right into the sack. Rednecks got out of their tent and went to see what the noise was. One of them saw the fire and ran to put it out. Gas can explodes. Other redneck starts yelling for me to come out. Sneak through all the weed plants and make my way around their camp. Use my key bar to cut behind the tent my friend was in and cut his ties. I tell him to run and follow me. We book it out of there. Now it's gotten even more dark since I started tracking the blood trail, so it's hard to see anything now. We run through the weed field and make a line to the trees. Get to the campsite and tell everyone to grab everything they value and get in the Jeep. Get out of Dodge while the rest of the guys are wondering what the fuck happened, asking where we went and why Mike, friend who was taken, was all bloody. Mike tells us how he was taking a shit and then someone came up behind him and smacked him in the face with a shotgun. They said they smelled the steak cooking and were going to interrogate him on why we were in the area. Everyone is in shock. Drive home, wondering what happened to those rednecks. I hope that explosion killed one of them.
Be me, skinwalker or crawler or whatever. Be chilling in a woods, find a human farm. My time has come. .jpg. Decide to make this farm my hunting grounds. Notice from afar some young male feeding the cows religiously. The craving to take his skin arises. Stalk him and learn his routine. After a couple of days, I decided to test the waters. Try to imitate him to lure him in a woods. It's hard, but at least I caught his attention. One day he takes the bait, comes closer to me in the dark. This is it. .jpg. My first victim, my first body, my legend begins here. Prepare a dramatical entry. I turn around, ready to strike fear and take my prize. A dad bod, a neckbeard, a man bun. Damn it.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.